What's good, everyone? Hope everyone's week is going alright. This week's video is on the second installment to the biggest fades in boxing. So pretty much exciting, fan-friendly matches to get someone new into boxing or matches that you may or may not seen. With that being said, let's start the video. At the end of 2015, Juan Francisco Estrada vacated his unified flyweight title to move up to the new Glamour division as super flyweight, as money was pouring into the weight class. After two tune-up fights, Estrada was primed and ready to face former WBC champion Carlos Cuadres in a WBC final title elimination match. The winner will go on to fight two-time champ and current WBC champion Ruiz. This fight was an absolute banger, high skill level boxing. Cuadres, who is an incredibly fast starter, will rake in the early rounds. Estrada would mount up a comeback coming into the second half. However, it all rested in rounds 10 and 12. Estrada, needing a knockdown, would achieve that in the 10th round. With both guys closing the fight strong, this is not the first time Michael Buffer pulled a Steve Harvey during a big fight with a lot on the line. This will now be the second.
Aus Deutschland. Pardon me. No, ladies and gentlemen, from Australia, the winner by unanimous decision.
And he would announce Cuadres as a winner, which there was a massive uproar from the crowd. Then Buffer had to retract his announcement and Estrada was named the winner, which his reaction was absolutely priceless. Estrada will lose against Ruiz for the WBC and vacant ring and lineal title. Estrada would once again become the mandatory, this time beating Ruiz, becoming champion. Cuadres, on the other end, was more on the downside of his career, would find himself in line to face Estrada in a rematch. The once matchup that was even in the betting odds was now 5-1 betting odds for Cuadres. Despite the odds, Cuadres had Estrada's numbers stylistically. Once again, Cuadres would start fast, as usual, stack up an early lead, drop Estrada in the third round. A lot of back and forth action, Cuadres throwing for the fences to keep Estrada off of him, as he no longer has the legs to stay away from him. Estrada would finally catch up and drop Cuadres in the 11th round. As this fight was looking about over, Cuadres would be throwing for the fences, once more punching himself out in the process. And the patient Estrada will get him out of there that round to end their rivalry.
Good sneaky uppercut by Estrada, who's weathered the storm. Was that the last stand for Cuadres? Under a minute to go here in the 11th. Oh, and he's getting, and that'll do it! Juan Francisco Estrada.
This was Holyfield's first fight back after his back-to-back big money series against Lennox Lewis for Undisputed, after being brutally defeated by David Tua in the first 19 seconds of the first round. Ruiz, on the pathway of redemption, will put up a 11-fight win streak, picking up the NABA title. After 3 defenses, Ruiz would find himself against Evander Holyfield for the vacant WBA title. Ruiz did not hold top 10 rankings within ring, however he was ranked number 3 by the WBA, number 1 by the WBC, and number 2 by the IBF. Ruiz would open up the fight as a 4-1 underdog. He would get the better of Evander early on. Evander would rally back and just nearly get Ruiz out of there in the third. Holyfield, the following round, would lay off on his offense so he would not punch himself out if he couldn't get Ruiz out of there.
Oh, there's a right uppercut out of nowhere by Holyfield to the chin of Ruiz. Oh, a straight right hand by Holyfield that stuns Ruiz.
You hurt Ruiz with that right hand.
Ruiz is one. Ruiz hanging on.
Right, step back,
Just a few more seconds and he makes it through the round.
This allowed for Ruiz to recover. Holyfield will maintain that through the mid-rounds and pick up his offense in round 8. This rally would wake up Ruiz. He will counter back with his own. Holyfield would look visibly faded in the 9th round, where Ruiz would capitalize and rally. The commentators were calling this boring, however, this was a rather exciting fight that opened up an interesting final quarter. Ruiz would bank in almost the rest of the rounds. Holyfield would find a second win in the back half of the 12th round. as Ruiz is absolutely exhausted. Holyfield would finish the fight off strong, however, was it enough to win on the cards? That's up to you to decide.
What a sense of urgency for Holyfield.
As Holyfield will become a 4-time champion, surpassing Muhammad Ali. The rematch would take off exactly where it left, Ruiz getting the better of it.
You notice that? He leans forward like that. Good left-right combination of the head, followed by a left hook by Ruiz at the foot. Don't be holding, don't be holding. Holyfield's getting mad now, and so is Ruiz. Crowd getting, there's a big by Ruiz. And Ruiz is not, nice uppercut. Left hook by Holyfield was blocked by.
Both guys exhausted by the 10th. However, there will be a big break for the two as Holyfield landed a massive low blow on Ruiz. Ruiz, rightfully so, taking a long break. Then moments after the fight resumed, Ruiz would throw a retaliatory low blow, which caused another pause in the action. Since this was all towards the end of the round, both guys, now well rested, will put up an exciting final 2 rounds to finish the fight off strong. Holyfield would get dropped for the first time in a long time in the 11th. Holyfield would go on to survive the 11th, then rally back in the 12th, but he didn't get to rally back like he wanted to till the final 45 seconds of the fight, where we would get an exciting ending. Ruiz would score the upset and become the first Latin American fighter to win the heavyweight championship, earning him that following month an invitation to the White House. Before we get back to the video, be sure to subscribe and hit that like button so the rest of the good old folks see the video. I appreciate everyone helping out, bringing this channel back to life. It's not easy, one upload at a time. Thanks for sticking around to the end. Let's get back to the video. In the Money Floyd era, this is easily one of the most exciting technical performances, and only a guy like Cotto was able to bring that out of Floyd.
Why is Mayweather agreeing to stay in the corner?
This was Floyd's final fight under HBO contract, so it was not only important for Floyd to win, but have an exciting stock-raising show.
Round 1 is not a mismatch. Very hard to land a right hand against Mayweather in the corner and hits
Mayweather to hits.
Pointed out, Emanuel, and he gets in body.
Where he gets hit as it hooks. And also, one of the best I've ever saw since Muhammad Ali.
Here's the jab, and he got it right onto the chin of Mayweather. Now he lands the jab.
8, 9. Something you need to watch too.
Solidly now.
He starts a little short. Floyd could see it in time.
And the newly crowned WBA junior middleweight champion was one of his final rivals from the 2000s he had not faced yet, as their matchup was hyped up as early as 2007 after Cotto's win against Zab Judah.
The fight out there is Miguel Cotto versus either of them. Miguel Cotto is the real deal. And although he could get knocked out because I think he has a questionable jaw, he's got the power in both hands to knock either of them out, not to mention the skill, not to mention that Latin community that supports him as well. So I don't understand why Floyd Mayweather thinks Oscar is a big money fight, but Miguel Cotto is not. And
Though it took place 5 years later, Cotto had gotten a new coach. This time, an experienced coach worked more on Cotto imposing his strength and going forward. The early rounds, Mayweather would get the best of Cotto. Cotto would then pick up the pieces and equal things up, coming into the final quarter, making it absolutely exciting.
Going through is going to help him sustain.
2 years ago.
And why would he go to the ropes if he has this advantage here?
Mayweather hasn't really stopped me. Good left hook by Cotto.
Like it started reminiscent of the
Very reminiscent to the De La Hoya fight. Whenever Cotto was using his jab, he was the most effective when setting up his shots against Mayweather. However, after Cotto's big 9th round,
he's fights pretty well on Mayweather's.
Mayweather's allowing some body shots here. Boom! Cotto's putting a lot. What? Cotto makes his mark. who's putting hard leather on his man.
Mayweather, as clutch as he is, would take over the fight. You can hear Letterman's frustrations as he voiced his opinion on Cotto taking a break coming into the 11th round.
Round 9, when he could have just closed up this fight, made it as close as possible, he didn't fight. He didn't fight the 9th round and it killed him. I mean, I would have gone out there and punched like a son of a gun around 9, and Cotto gave it up, and it's a damn shame. 6-3, Floyd Mayweather.
Frankly, he might have been exhausted. This is a tremendous physical effort for 31-year-old Miguel Cotto.
However, Cotto has not used this much energy in a long time, probably since the Mosley fight. I'm talking about boxing at its highest level, not Cotto trying to fend himself off against a pressure fighter. This was back and forth action where Cotto stalked. Cotto was fighting in the center of the ring, boxing.
Mayweather hasn't lost a round this clearly and solidly for some time.
A clear win in this round for Miguel Cotto, and there may be scorecards here that have the fight even at this point.
Mayweather, knowing he needed to finish the fight off big, despite being just up on the scorecards, would bank in the final 2 rounds, and it was really beautiful to see how he closed the fight off.
Glove blocking those right hands. Now a little slowing down here in the 11th round.
Seeing Mayweather in a hard fight and bleeding, that they are really...
Cotto is staggered by that uppercut. Almost fell forward.
And since this was his final fight on HBO, this was a proper send-off right here. As Mayweather will win by unanimous decision, the final quarter of the fight was the determining factor for this win.
That uppercut, there's another left uppercut for Mayweather. He's having a huge stroke round.
You're a hell of a fighter. You do. You're a hell of a fighter. Legend. You do. Tough. Good.
This was Broner's second fight back after his defeat against Maidana. Emanuel Taylor, on the other hand, just coming off a big win against boxing prospect Kareem Mayfield. Easily one of the most exciting fight on Broner's resume. Taylor just had that right style to bring out the best of Broner, to force Broner to have a higher than average round by round punch count, making this fight highly competitive. Incredibly tight on the cards coming into the 12th round. Broner, knowing he needs a dagger to seal a win, would dig deep and drop Taylor in the final 30 seconds. Broner would earn a unanimous decision win, the knockdown in the 12th being the difference maker, as it would be ruled a majority decision, as one judge would have scored it a draw. There's matchups where it sounds okay and it becomes an absolute banger, like the last fight mentioned in this video. However, this here, when it was announced, you were guaranteed your money's worth and then some. There is very few reasons one would not miss this fight. It was a lot of pride riding on this fight. Marquez from Mexico City, Juan Diaz, who's Mexican-American from Texas. Marquez claiming he would die in the ring for his country if he has to in order to win, because he considers Diaz a half Mexican. So you can say Marquez sort of went b-hop with that statement. Marquez just came off becoming the lineal and ring champion against Yoel Casamayor. Diaz just rebounded back against Michael Caceres for the IBO title after his massive upset decision loss to Nate Campbell, which respectfully Diaz remained in the top 3 ranks. This fight was more of a real test to Marquez's prospects at lightweight. Casamayor was considered an aging champion in his last days after his nail-biter win against Caceres. Juan Diaz, despite losing 3 out of the 4 belts against Campbell, he was the best lightweight in the division at the prime age of 25.
This fight, Jim, is for all the marbles at 135. The winner will certainly be unanimously recognized as the best lightweight in the world.
And if it's Marquez, he wants to move up and fight the winner of Pacquiao-Hatton. If it's Diaz, he wants to rule this division.
Diaz, the fast starter, would immediately start the fight off at a fast pace, with Marquez trying to fend him off, turning the first round into a classic.
Another left hook. 3 body shots from Marquez. Diaz goes in with the right hand. This
This is going to be a hellacious war.
Cultural Mexican tradition of willing to mix it up.
And are they ever? What a big left hook by Diaz. Marquez trying to fire back, lands a right cross and a left hook. Round one is an all-out war.
Round 2 would pick up after the second, with Diaz getting the better of the exchanges, buckling Marquez. Despite Diaz getting the better of Marquez both rounds, Marquez was still able to keep it even on the punches landed, landing at the 2-minute marker 28 to Diaz's 24.
Body shots by Diaz.
His head is up more.
Big left hook, staggers Marquez. Marquez in trouble and trying to fight his way out of it. For what round one looked like, it looked like a round out of a Morales-Pereira fight.
And so does this one.
30 punches in the round. Dancing and hunting. Marquez going to the body and coming back up. Missed the right hand.
It was the silent counters and combinations to the body. The playing field will begin to open up for Marquez as he begins to have more success in exchanges. However, Diaz is still winning.
But you have to wonder about those reflexes.
Ruiz looked really good in the first couple rounds against a guy who's looked just a tiny bit better. What a will! What determination! Good left hook by Diaz.
Marquez is landing punches.
As Diaz's pace just slowed down a bit in the fourth, Marquez will have his most successful round in the fight so far.
I saw 3 judges score. Diaz led the more clean shots just like the score right there. 3-0 Diaz.
No, I understand.
A harder puncher, but of course, Diaz, as we pointed out, is by nature the big, and finding those moments when Marquez is right hand. Why should a fight like this even be scored?
Diaz will rally back in the fifth and just beat Marquez to the punch, landing beautiful combinations.
Straight right hand down the pipeline. Another huge left hook by Diaz. Predator Network, Showtime. One difference. Good left hook by Diaz again. And a right hand at the end of the round by Marquez.
Sixth round, Marquez would find more success fighting at his pace, bagging in that round, and the turning point in the fight as Diaz begins to show signs of fatigue.
Diaz is adjusted. Back into the ropes. All-out war. Diaz eats a hard right hand, lands a hard right hand, takes a...
Despite that, Diaz still going 100% at Marquez, not giving Marquez a chance to breathe to bag in the seventh.
And using his size. Left hook. Body shot. 2 straight right hands by Marquez. 2 more big left hooks by Diaz. Drives Marquez back against the ropes. Lands a straight right hand of his own. Marquez trying to counter again.
Marquez will rally in the eighth, and Diaz's offense begins to get on the sloppy side and less effective as Marquez is now landing at a higher, more effective rate to where Marquez finally cracks through Diaz towards the end of the round.
It was a tremendous crowd in Staples economic conditions, along with the straight right hand crowd. There comes the uppercut again.
Even though they're both over the next week.
This is amazing.
Marquez, a good defensive
Marquez adjusts. Here comes on.
And Diaz got caught with a left hook and he looks stunned.
25 seconds to go.
Marquez, who expended a lot of energy in the eighth, would take a break. Diaz, not doing all too much either, would form an offense and hit the wall in the process, where Marquez saw this as an opportunity to take over for good in the final minute of the ninth. After a perfectly timed right hand, it didn't take long at all to put Juan down.
Huge uppercut. Down goes Diaz.
Well, it's all because he doesn't know how to clinch.
Can he make it out of the ring?
Despite Diaz getting up, he had never been in that situation before, and Marquez is one of the greatest finishers, and he immediately put Juan away.
A Spanish fighter would probably clinch, but I don't think that's what he's going to do.
And look at Marquez go to the body. Look at him go to the body and try to set up the finish, and what a right hand, and that will be that.
What you just saw was a really good young fighter knocked out by a great old fighter.
Pound for pound, number one.
Maybe,
Marquez.
just might
No,
be.
that's what you said, and you have good grounds to say that.
Well, let me say this. That's as sensational as any performance Manny Pacquiao's ever produced.
Despite Roach being used as a political pawn with little to no expectations from the casual audiences and experts to win, just simply be a highlight reel to the opponents that moved up in class to face Davis. This turned into an unexpected banger. It's like the football rivalry, no matter what the odds are, it could be the playoff-bound Cleveland Browns up against the 2009 Detroit Lions. When pride is at stake, it elevates one's game. This fight was no different. Roach was immediately ruled out. The odds were against him. However, he's a dude from DC, and he's up against a dude from Baltimore. Roach ain't gonna fold and be a highlight reel against some dude from Baltimore. And I'm glad he came in with that hunger, that prideful mindset, because this was a fun fight to watch from both sides. But when you have an unexpected banger with a clear B-side, there is going to be some controversy. Where Davis takes a knee, which was not called a knockdown, this would be the deciding factor as the fight was ruled a draw. On a closing note, I find it very strange that there are no publicly published photos of the knockdown seen all around the world on TV. Just the aftermath without context, what looks to be an awkward stumble. Now, just a theory and a rumor about 10 plus years ago, if you were a photographer or videographer caught taking photos or video of a certain shadowy figure, your credentials would be revoked and you'll be blacklisted by the third-party company that issues the credentials. Maybe they're saving these photos for the countdown show of the rematch, but I can only theorize that these photographers were given a heads up if they publish these images, they will have their press passes revoked and banned from future events. After a successful US debut against Paulie Malignaggi, Amir was set to defend his WBA junior welterweight title against hard-punching contender Marcos Maidana in Las Vegas. Maidana was a huge test for Khan as he was on a 4-fight win streak after the Andreas Kotelnik robbery for the WBA title. 3 out of those 4 wins were by knockout, which those were notably against Victor Cayo and Victor Ortiz. As Khan had proved that he's a much different fighter under Roach after his first round knockout defeat against Bradis Prescott, he hasn't faced anybody that can punch like Bradis till the Maidana fight. This being on US soil, making it more of a plus as there was still skeptics in regards to Khan's durability and chin. The fight would start off incredibly fast with Khan dropping Maidana in the first round.
The hand speed difference is better. They hit him all. In the eyes of judges, incidentally, he's won at least 40 out. And down goes Maidana on a tremendous body tap, and he may not get up. Now he's going to get up.
You don't want to.
What a body shot by Khan.
You don't want it, you don't.
Then to easily bag in the early rounds. Maidana will pick up the pieces and begin to rally back midway through the fight, making the fight incredibly entertaining. Khan would fire back, however, the momentum was slowly moving towards Maidana's favor.
Now Maidana finds him and lands the right hand. Maidana got in his hard right hand.
You know, Maidana's one of those guys who might strike out a lot.
Check out the muscles in his legs. Not caused by a bullet.
Is it labeling him to win this fight?
Left hook by Maidana. Khan on the run. Even if you're beating him, you know that this stuff is coming. This is a Maidana round.
Then in the 10th round, Khan's chin and heart will come to the test as Khan gets cracked by Maidana.
Hard right hand. Khan is tremendously wobbled. Amir should be holding on right now. Maidana clocked him big time with the right hand. Khan was momentarily out on his feet. And he's hurt again. Maidana's got his chance. Plenty of time left in the 10th. And the left hook lands.
Khan somehow managed to survive the round as this happened very early in the round. Some crazy gymnastics was pulled to make it through to the end.
Will he hold? Will he
Maidana expending some serious energy in the 10th will allow Khan to rally and open up in the 11th, which would then open up a very entertaining 12th, as scores were now fairly tight with both guys trying to finish the fight all strong.
It's been a great fight. Then everybody says, well, maybe he's special. Oh, huge right hand by Khan. Khan's going to choose to risk and fight again. And now Khan fires one last combination in the center of the ring. Secured safety for Khan. And this may win him the round. And if he wins the round, he may be safe. Gentlemen, that was a fight.
Khan will win by a narrow unanimous decision, the knockdown and point deduction in round 5 being the difference maker, as 2 judges scored it 114-111 and one 113-112. This fight was several years in the making. It was originally supposed to happen back in 2022, however it got cancelled after Benn being tested for a banned substance. Then for the fight to be pushed back even further when Eubank Jr. lost to Liam Smith. Fast forward 3 years later, and a hot win streak, the fight is finally made, and you could say the third fight, because this is fought between the sons of Chris Eubank and Nigel Benn, one of the greatest rivalries in boxing, and possibly the greatest in the super middleweight division. The first fight was for the WBO middleweight title, however the rematch was a unification for the WBC and WBO super middleweight title. Belt organizations mostly did not allow their champs to unify against a WBO champion. However, in the UK, the WBO held so much weight that the WBC had to play ball. This fight will end in a draw, and there will never be a third fight. Despite Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn not really being for a title, this fight had the iconic theatrics you would expect from their fathers.
So the counter puncher comes in with the left hand and the right hook from Eubank. Well to in the second half inside the jab. And Cotto with the left hand. He is double the trick. This is about the score.
It lived up to the weight, it lived up to the expectations, and then some, as one of the most exciting fights of the first 6 months of 2025. Both guys wearing the same colored trunks coming into their father's first fight just added into the epicness.
With a show. He's still got plenty in the tank. That's better. He's got Eubank trying to dig it. Eubank down. I think that's important in this fight. He like that. Right. Their fathers went. Oh, good shot from you. So well. Miss it. Oh, right. Oh, big right hand from Eubank.
The final quarter of the fight was of legend, with both guys in their own right finishing strong. Both guys throwing for the fences in the 12th round, Eubank Jr. getting the better of it.
First advantage. The jab, right out from Benn. 6 leading shots. Good shots from Benn. Neither man taking it back from Adrien. And now Cotto Benn. Go. To toe. Third box. Step. But this is Cotto Benn. Tries unlucky.
Eubank Jr. would be awarded the unanimous decision victory. However, morally, both guys came out as winners in this match, as this brilliantly promoted the sport of boxing.
Christian combination for no. Busy. Good body shot from Cotto Benn. And again missed with that left to the bottom. Left to the bottom. Shots from. I'm to say they've left it all in the line. And good work from both. His heart has been intense. Here comes Eubank. Benn hurt. A minute 20 to go. And it's Eubank action.
On top of that, this is the biggest fades in boxing, part 2. For more installments, be sure to like, share, and if you're new, subscribe to the Patreon for Patreon-backed projects and early access. This project being on the tale of Floyd Mayweather versus Ricky Hatton. I'm Juan Sancho, and I'm out.